But I'm gonna do a little more first few steps for you. How many of you actually attending hackathons? Okay, there are a few of you. So, okay, I'm Saka. I'm a platform engineer at a startup called Gladly. In the last 2 years, I have been attending 60 hackathons, and the last one I attended was AWS first Road to Reinvent hackathon, which I didn't want the 100K cash. And I'm gonna tell you about brutal realities of mistakes we made that we didn't make it. But before that, let me tell you about the process, and then I will tell more about that. And then I will show you a few hackathon projects I was working on. One of them also is online, so it's everything's open source. My goal was 100 project for this year. I have a good number of maybe 10 projects already in place, so I will share also a few of them. But before that, again, I want to make sure you get the building blocks for the hackathon so that you don't make mistakes I make. So this is a bit outdated. It has been, if the last year, probably 10 plus, around 10 this year. And what's the definition of the hackathon? So for me, the definition of the hackathon, you shouldn't go with the idea, you should know the people you know. You don't have to be familiar with the tools. If you are, it's okay, but you don't have to. And then ship something useful and ship something fast. This is when it comes to hackathon, that's what I like to follow. Let's say tomorrow is at EJ House, there is Gemini hackathon. So I have no teams, no ideas, but I'm sure I will have sometime tomorrow before the demo. So usually I will say also don't focus on winning the hackathon, but look at these three metrics. It's more from the sport. Like have a process goal, have a performance goal, have an outcome. What does it mean? If you're in the hackathon, you can plan ahead, say, okay, these next 6 months I will go to 10 hackathons, yeah? So this is like the process goal you set. No matter what, I will go this many. Performance can be, hey, I worked on ideation for 4 hours and solution 2 hours. This time I'm gonna change variables, I'm gonna play maybe 3 hours for the ideation. So like have some goals for yourself, performance goal, and spend as much as time to make it less and less as you go to more hackathons. And the outcome is great, but we hosted the hackathon on 15th of November. I don't know if you heard about aviation hackathon. The reason we hosted it because I met the guy at the hackathon. He was a pilot and he had a startup for the aviation and training for Air Force. And then he called me after a year and saying, hey, I get a cool office, I want to host hackathon for 30 people, can we do it together? And then that's how we end up bringing in less than 2 weeks, 100 people together. We had a massage, we had a DJ, we had basketball in place, and we had all these amazing friends helped us. Rob was there, Blurry, and some other folks were there. So basically, just that because I had teamed up with somebody in the hackathon a year ago, so sometimes you can see the value later. Maybe it was more valuable than getting a couple hundred gift cards or some cloud credits or whatever. So that's the outcome I'm looking for, building more good relation, even sometimes just one person. Then other stuff like valuable but not long term. So stages to win: think, design, execute, present. I will connect it with the AWS coding tool called Kiro. I don't know, have you heard Kiro? Have you used Kiro? Okay, a few of you. So AWS is trying to kind of renovate in a space where calling like spec-driven development. So there's a vibe coding, you just talk and then build that. And there is a spec-driven development, which I will show you a quick demo so that you get a sense what does it mean. So it might not be ideal for hackathon, but then if you want to take your hackathon project and continue building on top of it, as vibe coding might be ideal. So again, make your call. But I will show you these few examples. So I put those in the event description. I was following 8 steps, 8 rules, and 8 slides. Because one of the things you have to make sure, and one of the reasons we didn't win that, also didn't win the hackathon, like you have to resonate with audience. And most of the time your audience are the engineers. So coming up something that in idea phase that will resonate with audience is a big win. So that being said, if you go to hackathon, find a whiteboard, and then start listening to people with ideas. If you have one idea, you can pitch, but also most of the time what I will do, if somebody from the friend, let's say Rob, will say, hey, I have this idea. I'll say, okay, you want to join me at this hackathon and we will work on it? So you can help your friend, you will work on something useful, actual problem, versus you just go try to artificially come up with a problem. So that's the first thing. Make sure you don't get artificial problem. You get, if somebody has it, you can join, or you can spend time to come up with something actually real problem. So once you get the idea, okay, who has ideas? Who has a problem? Maybe somebody just can't sleep, or anybody has any idea? Just what problem is, oh, I need to fix this, or this is a problem.
I want my website to be fact checked, like the finances.
Okay, your finances, what?
Yeah, like so I pulled from like all the government budgets.
You pull.
Yeah, and I created a pie chart how California's like budget.
Okay.
And I want to see if there's any more assembly bills that I missed, or propositions that I missed.
Okay. And you tried an existing tooling, and
I use it on Replit, and I use it on Claude, and I check GPT, but it doesn't really look like it's that accurate.
okay.
So I want to see like if there's other stuff that I missed, the propositions or like assembly bills that we're spending money on or collecting money from.
Okay. So that's another thing. You have a deterministic problem. AI might not be the perfect solution where you can connecting AI in some deterministic piece of the, because if you have structured data, is the type data structured or unstructured?
I think
Is
it's
table?
both. It's both.
Okay.
Like it's technically like it's there, but it's a little bit unstructured because you have to keep pulling from different sources.
Yeah. So this is one example where we will talk in the next step, where once you have identified the problem, once you find who is the customer, so who is the customer? You are the main customer.
Well, no, the American like from California are
The customer.
the
Yeah.
customer.
So the next I come up with, okay, I will say, okay, now we know what's the problem we are working. We know who has this problem. Let's go ask these 4 questions. Ideally, 1, 2, 3 of them you should satisfy. Like, are we making that ICP, the person, make or save money? Are we making or saving their time? Are we lowering their risk? Or are we adding the value in terms of credibility and stuff? So, good example would be somebody is traveling, and we will have these. By the way, also thank you.com for sponsoring the food, and Mariana, our friend, is not here, but I just wanted to shout out. So let's say if you're building a travel agent, yeah, like I would say, okay, so actually it's open. So this is a travel agent idea we are working on the hackathon. So I say, okay, you are traveling. What are the key decisions you are making? So you are deciding or booking your flights. First thing that's you do. And then second, you're deciding where I'm gonna stay. Searching what kind of food are there. Like maybe I'm vegetarian or something. Like, are there any preferences for me? And then I'm gonna spend my leisure time. If I'm going to shopping, anything you might need to buy. And then if I'm going, working and traveling, where I'm gonna find the commuters and stuff. Let's say recently I was in Boston, and that's where I met our friend Shelly. So I didn't know about Sunday Club Hackathon, and somebody just told me, but when I was traveling, I had no idea there is such a nice community, and they were doing every Sunday hackathon. So these are the examples, and then commute stuff, like what are the ways to travel around and stuff. So this was one example of the hackathon, but so we can try actually. I think it's online. We'll try. Is it working? Okay, I will, and then I will show you. Okay, but you got the idea, yeah? Step 3, ask for our questions. Design data flow. This is step 4 which we were talking about. So data is a key in any hackathon. Maybe like if you're probably 90% of the hackathons are using AI, and the key is the data. What data you are using, where you are getting, how you are getting. Models are okay, like you can, probably 50% of the use cases, you can use a base model and you can fine tune it or do whatever, and it will serve you. But you don't probably even need a large language model unless it's one of the sponsors and you need to use them and stuff. So, but like for actually winning the hackathon, like or actually building something useful, you just need a good data set. And how you're gonna get it, how you're gonna generate it, this is the key. Then prompt, and now people call it also context engineering. Who knows the difference? What's the between prompt and context? Rene, what's the prompt and context engineering?
Bro, your context looks to me like RAG. If I had to take a guess, prompt engineering is whenever you think about like a prompt is just like you telling something like, hey, you're like this, and a context is just being able to pull documents to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like promptly usually how you're gonna get the right response from the model itself. The context is what additional data you're gonna get before and feed into your prompt to get the right response. Yeah. So this is like more like you have a private data set or whatever that model doesn't have an idea. So you're gonna how synthesize these two pieces: your prompt and the private or whatever data that model doesn't have it, put together, send to model to get the right response. Okay. So this is where most of the companies are spending time to do the right synthesizing with your prompt, with the context. Model again, you can take a base model, you'll be fine. Or you can do the fine tuning. Because to be honest, I'm not going to mention the companies. Some companies, their cost for the LLMs are much higher than the cloud cost. And cloud cost used to be, so usually how's the cost? There are 3 or maybe 4 key cost drivers in your infrastructure. One's your cloud cost, one is your data platform like Snowflake, Databricks, or whatever. Third is probably the logging cost. Logging, let's say, if you're using Datadog and stuff, they're eating a lot of cost. Now the OpenAI and all these basically LLM foundation models, they out-competed probably double your cloud cost. So now you can imagine that how important it is to do a good job here to save the money for the company. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who remembers? Aditya, what are the steps? 1, 2, 3, 4.
The earlier ones?
Yes.
Idea.
I took a picture.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, wow.
Idea.
Huh?
Idea.
Idea is one. Second.
There's the idea. There's the ICP that you define.
Sir.
And then there's 4 hours of value
Sir.
solution.
Yes.
And then
This is the
there's
4. Okay. We have 4 more steps to go. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Is it useful? I want you guys to see winning, okay? So that I need to come with better strategy. Otherwise, I go with the same strategy. Okay. So now you understand the pieces. Now you put the right data set. Everybody's talking about agentic. Obviously, it's not something different. I will call it this like microservice, like garbage in, garbage out. They're like just one simple logic. So when you're designing your application in the hackathon, for example, let's see if it's working now. Okay, it says fix the getting 500. It's working earlier, but yeah, we will let the kid. So let's come back. So this bacon agent, for example, if you come here, we said, okay, we have 7 agents. Now, add agents folder. You see, all of them are independent as a microservice. The reason I did it is because even so, as much mature this vibe coding tool and stuff, they are not good at adding more complexity. They're good at spreading the complexity across. Because let's say if I ask, go fix commute stuff, it will go create another bug or break something else. And then I will ask go fix again, and then it will go fix this one and create. So it's like, you have to isolate the code bases to be smaller so that the blast radius to be smaller. At the same time, it will move faster and it will do what you want. Yeah. So it's like logic-wise. If you add more complex logic, hey, everything in one, these 7 agents, you will spend more time on debugging. Basically, what I'm saying, try to separate the logic as much as simple, so that also you understand, so that even AI cannot, you can go fix it. But that's a reality. Like you need to fully really understand that agent is not for big logic stuff, like 10 steps. Like just do one step and do really well. If you need just pull data from API and then send to somewhere, just keep it that simple, so that you can also debug it faster, and also AI will make quicker and faster edits. So, and we will show you in this app doesn't work and it was working at all. So we'll debug and I will show you. But that's being said, designing agents, there are a couple of steps, like choose the right LLM, which I mentioned earlier. Small models usually much better. Define agent control logic. It should be, you should be able to say what agent is doing in one sentence. Like, hey, this agent is to go search cheapest or whatever flight in US or something. Yeah, like just keep it simple, one sentence. You don't need 10 sentences to say what agent is supposed to do. So the core instructions, features, memory strategy. You are in hackathon, you're okay if you don't get it, but later you need to do it. Like if you need additional context and stuff. Tools, APIs. So this is straightforward. Define the agent role, key task. So like again, if it's working as agent in your laptop or something, if it's doing multiple things, just define it specifically. And then what should be the output? What should be the success for the agent? And then now you see cloud came also with sub-agent stuff. So they have agent, they gonna spin sub-agents. So this is, or you can have multiple agents working together. One agent doing one work, finishing and passing to another agent, and then another passing. So like chaining the agent, that's much, or orchestrating agents, that's everybody's trying or to work, because then you can scale agents. So let's say if your API calling agent doesn't need to scale, or some other agent that interacting with users more on the heavy load, so you can scale. So it's like orchestrating and then scaling more elastically these agents. That's the key. But again, this is, you might not need for the hackathon, but the key idea when you design agent, it should be one simple thing. And usually also what I will say, it's easier to distribute the task if you have 4 or 5 people, everybody's vibe coding, and how you're gonna define it. Yeah, like for us was, okay, there are 7 people, I'm gonna work on shopping agent, somebody else is gonna work on travel booking agents, I'm gonna stay on the hotel agent. And then what we need to do to make it easy integration, we create like as API based agent. Like I usually like the Python test API, but it's up to your choice. And then to integrate, we will just need to know, here is API, when you do the post for this endpoint, and here is the sample response I should get, that's it. And then you can make it easier to integrate with each other if you're working in team environment. So that being said, this is step 6 is more bonus. Bonus, like if you are evaluating your hackathon idea for if you are going to build a company out of it. So this is, I like from Blitzscaling. Chris Yek is a great friend of us, and they, hey, when we are investing on startups, ideas kind of everybody might have idea, but we are looking for distribution and network effect. Distribution and network effect, who knows the difference? Any idea? Rob, come on. No.
What's network effect versus distribution?
Yeah. How you will give example there.
Network effect has like exponential or logarithmic impact based on usage. Other people it spreads. Distribution might be more linear. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. Network effect. It's like you need Uber drivers to be there so that Uber users use the app. This is network effect. And distribution is like Google, Meta, they have couple billion users.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever product they have a distribution. They can just go upsell and stuff. So while OpenAI is collaborating, has to like this Apple and all these companies to sell or put OpenAI in front of Apple users and stuff. So it's like both have their own leverage, but they're becoming more and more important. If you're doing the startup, think about that aspect. Like, what's my network effect strategy, like, or what's my distribution strategy, or what are other distributions I can use in startup. So, yeah, market size, and I think market size you can also define. but it's not for the hackathon. But if you get time, if you have somebody in your team that they say, oh, I'm not gonna feeling the vibe code, so if they're looking for some task, you can just say, hey, why not you take the idea and work on, do some research about this market size and stuff. So, and yeah, the growth limiters, this is more if you run it as a startup, that because you come up with the team strategy and all this stuff, and they might not be scalable. Yeah, like if you are using, for example, Notion or whatever, that might not be that scalable and all this stuff. So it's not. So you might need to know. And this is step 7, product usage. OpenAI had a good how people are using ChatGPT, the paper. I will recommend you go read that one. So like how actually people using or gonna go use your product. So it's like I would say you need a product and then you need a product or watchdog to watch your product iterate faster, because you can assume oh people like this or that, like, but you might be wrong. So just back up is the data. So again, this is more, that's why I mentioned the bonus, like maybe not for the hackathon, but if you, after the hackathon, if you wanna, on the side, continue work on this project, just think about what's your strategy to watch the usage of the product so that you can decide if you wanna spend more time or invest more on that or not. So this is cheap, reliable, fast, and this is the last slide. This is a must. This is not, remember from this talk, one slide, this is the slide you have, this is battle proven basically. That's a reason we won back to back 2 weeks in a row, so 88 Jackhouse back in I think October. So like we won the 5K prize, and then so basically this is over and over proven that it works. I haven't made any changes for last year. So this is not your pitch deck. Just keep it clear, keep in your mind. A lot of people will come and talk about various aspects during hackathon, but people don't care. What people care, why you decided to work on this project today, what's the problem you worked on, just simply here is the problem. And then they want to see how big is the problem if you get time. Like, you have to quantify the problem. You don't have to, per se, quantify in terms of amount of dollars, but like you have to, oh, in Africa, there's this many people having trouble to get to clean water. Yeah? Maybe it's not business viable, but it's a real problem. So you have to quantify the impact, not per se if it's business-wise viable or not. Solution, you have to clearly say, this data I used to do this, and here is what I got. So you might not get everything at the hackathon, but you can say, or we were aiming to get this result using this data, doing this. So this is your solution. And architecture, obviously, just to have higher visibility in terms of technicality, like what are the pieces of your stack, and then the team who worked on the team and the links to the code and slide and stuff. So this is a last slide thing I had. So this is, I call it 8x8 rule, meaning these 8 steps plus 8 slides. That's if you follow, and you will have higher chances to win. I won't say you will win because there are other factors you influence, but if you do really well on these 8 steps and on presentation, I think at least you will be proud of your work, and then you can go talk about in the social and stuff. And there were so many times also I got reached out from VC firms that, hey, do you wanna, because we won and we presented and I posted about it, and they apparently some VC firms, they will just go on Twitter and LinkedIn and they will look for some hackathon winners or whatever, and they will reach you out, hey, if you wanna work on this project and stuff. And it's real. It happened a couple times, and I think people, you never know. Basically, that's why it's good to, nobody's gonna go probably try your project if you haven't put online, but they will go check your slides and the work you have done, and potentially even sometimes the customers. So this was one of the we won. I posted, so if you want to check, you can check as reference. So this is still the goal, and I'm gonna talk briefly about that project. Again, there were two more things I wanted to mention, but feel free if you get bored and stuff, just let me know. We can take a break, we can do another time. So we were going, what I mentioned, Reinvent Road to Reinvent Hackathon. It was 100K cash prize, and we didn't make it. So I will tell you the full story. So it was dedicated teams. One day before we met, and we went to LA, and then the bus were driving to Vegas, and on the bus it was hacking on the bus, and we didn't pick the team. We had a dedicated captain and team, and 5 people each team, 10 teams. And then we met one day before, and we come up, hey, we don't know what's idea every team's gonna work on the same thing. And the thing was, we're gonna do some pre-hack, and we worked on the pre-hack. Let me see if it's there. So this was, I thought it, basically we were going to use a Kiro, it's a spec-driven development. One thing the team was insisting, and I don't think I was strong enough to convince, that say, okay, we're gonna follow a PR strategy. Like pull request. We're gonna ship the code, and my thing was, let's do folder based, so everybody just work on their own folder, what I mentioned earlier. But that was the team said, no, let's do the PR. So we spent so much time on reviewing PR and merging and then conflicting. So that's where one of the things, one day before I said, okay, it's going wrong, okay? And what I did, I went to the coding engine, I said, okay, just give me brutal realities, like what are the things went wrong, yeah? And it's just went all this Git history and all this stuff, and you see and then it's started pointing out, committing simultaneously and all this stuff. So this is not clear, everyone was touching everything. So this is branch hell, never merge, features isolated. So this is the actual experience. That was one of the key drivers that slows down you at the hackathon. Yeah? Like never use the branches, never do everybody should keep it simple, yes? Keep it simple, like KISS model. Just everybody has a folder, you know what everybody's working on, and then let everybody push to the master or to the thing. Don't do PR. Second thing was, that as a mistake we did, we were going everything through the right way, like as in production. You merge a PR, and it will bring the application stack in your PR, and then it will deploy to basically CI/CD, deploy to production. So that was the second mistake. I weren't able to see something missing, but at least for you, I will say CI/CD and all this stuff are great, if you're deploying to production and stuff. But in the hackathon, everybody working on their own folder, and everybody should be able to run local, end-to-end, period. You don't CI/CD wait or containerize and build and then do the unit test and then run and see the result, yeah? This is gonna slow you down a lot. So this is two things, the key mistakes I could see up front, but again, and in action I could see also it could be done so much faster, so much clarity and stuff. The third mistake, I would say, ideation. So we get into hackathon, and then we get a prompt. We get 3 requirements for the judge. It's basically 100K for 5 people, 20K per person. It's not bad, okay? For spending just 5 hours. So there were 3 judging criteria. So you should build most useless application. Second criteria was you should build most over-engineered thing. You should use Kiro, AWS coding agent, and at least one AWS service. And then the last one was, it should be fun, entertaining. Because what was happening, we were driving on the bus, and it was live streaming, and then people were commenting. It's like watching the football game. People were watching, oh, this team is doing this on this. So they needed more entertaining, and it was streamed on the Twitch. So I took that prompt, and again, we were working on chicken hatching problem, but I think the idea was wrong because they already gave the answer. They're like, you need to use a kilo. So the team won. Guess which team won? Huh? No, everybody used kilo. But the team came up with that we engineer, we like to over engineer. So they built useless app where you will try to do something, it will go create a bunch of unneeded files and stuff and all this stuff, you know, like anti-Kiro thing. Like Kiro supposed to be production data, all this stuff, but that was just, again, it was a simple video, but it wasn't about execution, it was just catching that keyword for the hackathon and then just coming up with the thing like, hey, that's the most common thing, yeah, it will make sense. They already gave it should be fun, it's fun. It's Kiro coding agent, you have to do something with coding agent. Why not just to use coding agent to develop the coding agent? And then that coding agent, what it's gonna do, it's gonna create a bunch of redundant files and all this stuff. So, that being said, last thing I wanna tell you, so I had also LinkedIn post for that, have you heard Renaissance Engineering? Renaissance Engineering? Anybody heard? So if you haven't heard, I wanna quickly touch. So apparently there is a, yeah, let me find that. So this is, I mean, you should definitely check this guy. So his name is Werner Vogels. So he was giving the last keynote at the re:Invent, and he was doing the keynote for last 14 years. He's a CTO of Amazon, the brain behind all this power. And he was talking about Renaissance, what's it called? Renaissance developer concept. So basically what he was saying, he has, so I was so much obsessed, I put all his talk and I'm going over the holidays, watch them. If you wanna watch, I think it's definitely worth. If you wanna see, and he has the predictions he's doing for every year, and he has for 2026. Basically, this is saying that people talking about AI gonna replace engineers and all this stuff. He's saying it's not gonna replace, but here is what you need as a developer in 2026 to be called engineer, yeah? And this is a couple of things he was mentioning on that, like engineering being reinvented. Traditional way we were calling engineering is no longer there anymore, but you have to be curious, you have to do more polymath. Okay, this is the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So be curious, polymath meaning you don't have to say I'm a front end, back end, you have to be polymath, you have to go deep in one thing, but be able to understand all the pieces, take as much as ownership, be a system thinker, or yeah, if I scale this, what will happen? Be able to think systematically in vibe coding, and then be a good communicator. So I'm not going to take much time, but I wanted just you to go, if you are looking for reading how being reinvented the new engineering, Renaissance engineering development. So that's a piece, and let's see. Okay, I'm gonna now, how are we doing this time? How's everybody feeling? Yeah, go ahead.